My name's Sam and this is The Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you for joining me for Project 18. Can you believe that? Okay, so we are creating a shadow box today, which is this little goodie here. We're again using the Snowy Delights stamp set and dies. Let me just pull this out so you can see. I'm going to use this die. Not that one, that one. It's a beautiful little die because the other die is a lot bigger. Let's just put these back into place correctly before they all fall out on me and I wonder where they've all gone. There we go. Right, so this is this die we're going to use today and it's going to create these little snowflakes here. Right, let's put that back in. There we go. Close that up, and we're also going to use this one here to create the sentiment. Right, let's put that into there. And I've just noticed there's a couple of things I'm missing, so let's pull those in again. So we've got the supplies. I also need a Secret C, and I also need a Merry Christmas. There we go. There we go. Thank goodness everything is to hand here. Right. So the supplies, apart from those two, we have got Secret C 12 by 12 two-tone cardstock. I have got a piece of it's 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. Now this designer series paper, this is the designer series paper we've been using all week. It is the Elegant Pine Snowflakes. Okay, I've cut myself out 2 of the beautiful snowflakes I showed you earlier, just in basic white, and I've also got my little die for my sentiment, and I have a piece of 5 by 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, and that is, if you wanted to, you could pop a piece of white cardstock on the back and then you could send it to somebody or give it to somebody and you could write your message. Okay, right, so let's get down to business. As usual, let's do the stamping first. So I'm just going to bring in my Merry Christmas, which I have got from a old what is it? An old stamp set. So it's from my stash. Yep. I'm just going to stamp that up. Put that into there. There we go. Perfect. Because I haven't got one that fits that present. So you can always use whatever sentiment you want or got available. So I'm going to put that aside. Now I'm going to bring in my 12 by 12 piece of two-toned cardstock, and we're going to measure, we're going to score this together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to score it at 1 inch, then we're going to score it at 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and 3 inches. So that's 1, 1.5, 2.5, and 3. Then we're going to turn it, and we're going to do this all on all 4 sides. So that's 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and 3. Let's get these ones done. 1, 1.5, 2.5, and 3. This is going to help to create the columns for the box that we're making. 2.5 and 3. Now, you want to choose a top and a bottom, so let's leave it the way it is. This will be my top and this will obviously be my bottom. What you're going to do now is you're going to do a little notch. No, you're not. You're going to score from the 4 inch, past the first score line, down to your second score line. And let me show you. So this is your first score line here, and this is your second score line. So you're going to score all the way down. So at the 4-inch, you're going to go down to the second, and then you're going to do it as well, excuse me, on the 8-inch. And you're going to turn it round so you bring up the bottom, and you're going to do exactly the same. So from the 4-inch all the way down to the second score line, from the 8-inch all the way down to the second score line. Now that is all the scoring we need to do. Let's pop that down on the floor. Stay. Now, cutting. I've got a large pair of scissors. The first thing we need to do is we need to cut out all 4 corners. So literally you're going to go up like that, all the way across. Do the same on the next one. So it always goes silence when you're concentrating, so apologies. Almost like biting your tongue, isn't it, when you're concentrating as well? I do that as well. Right, okay, so let's go all the way down. Perfect. So with your score lines, with the 4 and 8 score line at the top and the score line at the bottom, you're going to cut up each score line and across to out. So you're going to go up to there and out. And you're going to do the same on the other side. So up that score line. And out. So this way you'll always be able to tell the top and the bottom. Up. And there we go. I'm just going to leave it like that for a couple of seconds so you can see. So the top and the bottom are the same, and the sides left and right are the same. Okay, so before we go any further, we need to notch out some corners. So you're going from this kind down here down to the next score line, but diagonally. So you could fold this over, make your life easier, and then go from there all the way down to your score lines. Cut off a triangle and do the same on this side. Okay, and that creates this little triangle and straight. You need to do exactly the same on the bottom. So these two, fold them over, and then you're going from the cut here diagonally down to the next score line. Now the advantage of having your big scissors is you can go straight across. There we go. And we have our layout. So that is what we're going to use to create the shape or the shadow box. This is where your first decision needs to be made. If you're planning on having the darker side showing through, you need to turn your paper over so that the lighter side is facing up. Obviously, you're going to do the reverse. If this is the light you wanted showing, you need to turn it the other way around. Because what you're going to do now is you're going to stick your designer series paper down. And I don't think I've tapered that. So let's do that. Bring in my board, my designer series. Yes, my board to cut my designer series paper down. So you're looking at 5 7/8. Okay, that's 5 7/8 and 5 7/8. Yes. So you now need to work out which is your top and your bottom. I think quite happy with that. You're going to glue that down. I'm going to use my tear and tape. No, it's not. It's my stamp and seal. think I should get up earlier and have more coffee. And my brain just might work. Okay, so there we go. So that's in. Now we can burnish our score lines. So let's bring in our bone folders and we're going to score those, or even burnish them. We're going to do it on all 4 sides. Oops, I didn't do that right. Okay, so these ones are straight. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to turn this one. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the last side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to put our sides together first, and what you'll see is that if you bring them all over, they will turn and create your line. So this here needs to have some tear and tape. So you've got your light shine side showing up. You want the tear and tape to go on the opposite side on the last section. So I'm going to put one at the top here, all the way down, and then the same at the bottom. So that's right against the score line, and then I'm going to put the outer edge. I'm going to take off my top of the tear and tape, 1 and 2. Now this one is the easiest one to do. You just fold it over and bring it in on itself. So if you wanted to, you could do that and then stick that. Just going to see if I can show you. So this line needs to line up with the last score line. You can then just lay it flat, as long as you don't stick it to your fingers. Okay, when you've done that, you can then just burnish it. You can open your box up and lay it the other way. There we go. So that is your first column created. You do exactly the same on this side. You go 1 all the way across and 2 all the way across. For some reason, and I don't know why, that doesn't seem straight. There's a little bit there. I'm just going to check that. All right. Okay, so again, we are going to take the tear and tape off. 1, 2. We're going to lay this line flat against the designer series paper, and then you're just going to bring it straight over and it will lie flat for you. Burnish, and then you can turn it back the other way and burnish, and that will give you your 2 straight columns. The top is slightly different. What we're going to do is we're going to put tear and tape on this diagonal cut. It does not matter if it overlaps slightly. Okay, so this is on the inside, on the lighter side. On there, I'm going to do it on exactly the same on the opposite side. Go down, and then you're going to do it again here. Let's bring it up close to the edge. And then I'm going to, he's going to put your tear and tape on the dark side again. On the dark side. That's almost a Star Wars reference, isn't it? That's if you ever watched Star Wars. It's one of those things that is watched avidly in this house. Started off with my cousins and now my grandchildren and, no, sorry, my children, and I'm sure eventually my grandchildren will end up watching it. Okay, so we now need to put our lid and bottom on. So leaving this intact, you're going to strip the inside tear and tape. You're going to bring it over and you're going to line this hip with this score line here. So it goes up, but you're going to make sure that your edge lines over, and then your tear and tape should stick down like so. Do exactly the same on the other side. So make sure that they line up straight down and they are in place. Now what you can do is you can take off your tape, because this is where it gets a little bit harder. Come on, thank you very much for gluing it down. So you're going to bring them back on themselves, okay, pushing it through as far as you can, and then you've got this bend, okay, and then that should stick down. Just try and do it that way. Okay, so that will hold into place. We're going to do exactly the same on the bottom. So you're going to take the two inside tear and tapes off, and you're going to bring it up and across so they measure up and across. Okay, and then you're going to do the same on that one, up and across, and that will give you, they'll stick that down. You now can take these two off again. One, two, and they tuck in back in on themselves. So pushing it down and creating it push back, and it will push down. There we go. So you have now created the basis of your shadow box. It's time to decorate. I am now going to stick my snowflakes on either side diagonally, and I'm going to use glue dots to attach these. She says, what have I done with them? Here they are. Again, I'm just using these flat ones that came in a card kit, just so I can use them up. Right. I don't need to have them all inked, glue dotted up, but what you're going to do is you're going to look at working out. So you've got the central one, you've got center, and then 1, 2, 3, and then center, 1, 2, 3. Right, so let's turn those over. So you've got center, put it there, and then 3 to the right, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's just double check. You got center, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to do exactly the same. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I think what I need to do is one there and one there. But let me just double check, because you do not want the glue sticking over. Yep, I do. Okay, so I'm going to put them on the top ones, one up there and one up there. Now, I know my glue dots look different, but all glue dots are, Stampin' Up! Glue dots are created equal, so you can just stick them down. So there's that one. I'm just going to make sure I want to do it that way. I'm going to do it that way. Okay, so you can take your tops off of your glue dots. That's the only difference with these ones to the other ones. Come on, there we go, that's that one. And that one. Okay, turn it over. That will go onto there, down the seam, and then you can just glue all the others down by pressing the dots down. So that's the first one. Now we're going to do the second one and do exactly the same. You're going to do one in the middle, and then 3 to the right. 1, 2, 2, 3. There's your middle one, and you're going to go 3 to the left. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Right, let's take those off. 1, come on, 2, 3. And you've got these ones. Whoop. Don't want to be tearing off the glue dot back down. There we go. Right, so again, this time your longest one is going on the score line again. Make sure that they are all in place, and you can stick them down. Right, so that is those, and the only thing left to do now is to add our sentiment, which if I can pick up, I will bring it in. So you can either stick it straight on your circle like that with your glue dots, or you could bring it over here and raise it up with your dimensionals, or you could even put it in the middle. But I think I am going to keep it on the outside, and I'm probably going to pop it in the middle there. So again, I'm going to use glue dots. So let's just bring in my normal glue dots. That's one flat there. And then, oops, turn that over. And one flat there. Okay, so we're going to turn these over, and we're going to pop them into place. There we are. Perfect. And that is our shadow box. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. I will be back again tomorrow with our next project. So do join me then, but have a lovely day. Take care.